Hi team, it's that time again for my period review. I'm going to actually do a quarter one review on this occasion. Going to give you a top line update in terms of performance, what's actually happened then within the period, and then some key actions kind of moving forward into quarter two. So from a performance perspective, pull out some really kind of key achievements. I guess the first one has to be equipment. We have installed over 1,000 pieces of equipment in quarter one, which is an amazing performance. Clearly, that's one of our biggest enablers in terms of driving range and space. And we should really start to see that translate into PICOS performance over the coming weeks and months. If you look at kind of last year, we really focused our equipment installations in quarter two. In the following quarter, we saw 9 percentage point growth in our pick-off scores. So clearly we've got a great opportunity to build on the work that's been done in terms of equipment. In relation to PICOS, we started the year at 42% or just under 42%. We're now currently at 45.9%. I know there's been some issues with PICOS scoring, and in particular we're still waiting for the SOVI element to resolve. So I think we're a little bit higher, but actually there's been some steady growth in terms of PICOS, but as I referenced beforehand, our equipment placement should really drive that in the second quarter. In terms of NDPs, in the first quarter we've delivered over 3,200 NDPs. Now, just to put that into perspective, last year we did 4,300 in total. So that kind of shows the scale of our NDP focus this year, the focus on lights and what that's delivered in quarter one. So really strong performance. When you look at OSPs, another one whereby, if you in comparison to last year, this year we've done just over 1,100 OSPs. Last year we were tracking around 12% of our state had an OSP. Now we're currently tracking at 15%. So that focus in terms of getting that additional water display at till point is kind of really making a difference, and that's translating into results. One area that I probably wanted to pull out in particular was the new leisure environment. So that's actually seen our biggest percentage point growth in terms of PICOS, so 8 percentage point growth in terms of the leisure environment, and some great work in terms of Merlin. So some of the work that we've done in terms of planogram setups, meeting up with the customers, and really kind of planning what we're going to deliver and work with them throughout the season is really working. You've seen that kind of step change in terms of improvement of our supplier perception with that customer, and getting some really good feedback. So great work, and continue that progress. We're also starting to see it in some of the smaller outlets like kind of bowling and the goals account, where actually when you really start to look at it and start speaking to the customer, you can identify some great opportunities. So some great work in terms of the environment, and I think we're really only just starting on that, and so share best practice, and we can see how that kind of move forward. We've had a period where we've kind of focused on a bit of training. So there was a call out in terms of the need for additional TPVO training, and we've done that through WebEx, and also for the professionals, some commercial training as well. So that's been in progress and done. So, and I've gotten some really good feedback on that. That's a continuation journey, so it's the start point. It's linked into also the Your Shout meeting that I've held with some key representatives in your team. So listen to what's working, what's not. We'll continue to kind of have that program going on throughout the year, so please continue to feed into that in your coming meetings. Your representatives will feedback in terms of what we've been doing to progress the inputs that you've had, but it's a really valuable piece. We always started this ethos with higher education, workplace and leisure, that it's about building this together, and your input is absolutely critical for that area. So we'll wait for some updates, but there's some good progression going in terms of those areas. There's been a big focus in terms of Sodexo and the surge outlets, 119 of those. Really important that we get around all of those outlets in the period, or the next couple of weeks. It's kind of key, because we need to, it's a great window for us to go back to Sodexo to show what we've done and delivered in those accounts. So yes, it's about getting in there and finalising everyone that we've been through over the next couple of weeks, but also importantly how we progress those accounts, because that really kind of shows what we can deliver as a field sales force. And hot news in terms of there, over the coming weeks we're likely to have, or we will have, ATOs within Sodexo, so the ability to do a add to order in those accounts. which will really help us and step change in terms of availability and getting those availability points immediately when you're in outlet. We have been a bit delayed in terms of Fuse and the route to market, catching up with that, and then that going back into to the outlets. But actually, Fuse, I've really started to see the step change over the last kind of 10 days in terms of Fuse activations. So we will be instigating the Fuse incentives, so there'll be some gift cards to be won, some experience days, and there's more to come of that in the next couple of days, but a really good opportunity to really kind of land and drive a really key piece of MPD for us moving forward. And I guess finally, before I go into the focus areas, it looks like there is going to be some stronger weather coming in next week. So God, that's embarrassing, but we've had some really kind of cold weather over the last weeks or so, and essentially kind of it looks like from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday onwards that we're actually going to get into the teens in terms of weather. So it's always a great time for us in terms of soft drinks, so let's make sure we maximize the opportunity we have in outlet with the weather turning. Sorry, it was a bit cheesy. So finally, our three big focus areas for Q2. So the reality is we've now kind of had an embedded Q1. The big focus now is step change in our performance, and that kind of centers around PICOS. And so the key thing that we need to focus in terms of PICOS is firstly in relation to range. So we've had some great success in terms of MPD. We've still got the massive opportunity that I kind of referenced in terms of Fuse that is now starting to drip feed within outlets, but and range is typically 60% of our entire PICOS, so absolutely key in terms of the right range in terms of these outlets. Linked on to that is space. Space is the second biggest, I guess, element that feeds into PICOS, and when you kind of look at those two together, equipment of what we've kind of placed in the last quarter will really need to kind of step change and drive those areas. So let's make the assets that we've kind of delivered into Q1 really kind of sweat in terms of range and space going into the second quarter. And then finally, we've had such great success with those enablers, whether it be equipment, whether it be OSPs, etc. Really continue that focus, because those are the things that will deliver our overall growth. So look, have a great weekend. Thank you very much, and I look forward to you seeing over the quarter. Cheers, bye.